One man who I know is following it every step of the way is our insider, Elliotte Friedman. Elliotte, first of all, great to see you. How's summer going for you?
Great to see you too, Erica. Michael, summer was excellent. I've got a good tan. Someone said to me, "You look really good," but I know I'll look terrible by the middle of December.
Well, we love seeing you on our TV screens, no matter how you look out there, and you're always looking great. But obviously, this one's going to be keeping you on your toes. When it comes to Connor McDavid, I think everyone is curious to see where he ends up. And he says it is all about the winning. How much of this is about those Stanley Cup final exits these last 2 years, falling just short of what's the only thing that's eluding him right now, and that is the Stanley Cup?
See, Erica, I think everything is about that. Everything is about that. McDavid keeps his orbit tight. He's very careful. He doesn't really confide in a lot of people. But the one thing that absolutely I can tell you with 100% certainty about this summer is that everybody who was around him feels that the back-to-back Stanley Cup defeats have only made him more hungry to win, have only made him more determined to win, has only made the Stanley Cup even more of a thing that he must have and must pursue. And I think that when he talks about the Oilers, like he's given a bunch of interviews lately, and that no term today, like I had a friend in Edmonton who called me in like an enormous panic once they saw that clip. But he had another one over the past couple days where he talked about, I think the team has a great chance to win this year. And Erica, what I really believe this is about is not the Oilers this season, but the Oilers over the next 3 to 5 years and longer. They're one of the NHL's oldest teams. And that's one of the reasons they've been successful. They've got a lot of veterans who really know how to play. But I think his point is, when these guys start to age out or if these guys start to decline, where's the next wave? And I think that's what he's put the Oilers on notice about. I still believe him. I take him at face value when he says his first priority is to win in Edmonton. But I also admit that this is going deeper than I thought it would in terms of him not extending.
All right, so I'm not as surprised as you are that he hasn't signed yet, because I thought he would just take the time that he has. And he recognized he's in a great spot for next year. So I'm curious, I'll throw how do you think this plays out? I think he goes short term. I think they eventually come to a decision where it's like 2 years and it's going to be $32 million or something like that in a very short term deal. Cap's going up. We know all that. We know it can all change in an instant, but how do you think this plays out, and what sort of timeline do you think this actually goes on?
Well, Mike, if I had to bet your mortgage on it, I would say
I don't have a mortgage.
Good for you. Congratulations. I would say I would bet exactly what you bet, that this ends up being a short-term deal. I think he will give Edmonton a chance to prove. Like, if you look at what the Oilers did last year, they acquired Savoy from Buffalo, and they also acquired Isaac Howard from Tampa Bay this year. And those are young players that people think have a chance. But aside from that, like they lost with the two guys they lost in the offer sheets last year, Broberg and Holloway. They lost two players who could have been Oilers for a long time and good Oilers for a long time. And so I would bet that that's what's going to happen, that he's going to sign a short-term deal with the Oilers. Now, you added him at 16 million a year. I think that's probably about correct. But the one thing I have heard that has come up in conversation, guys, is that he knows that if he says, I need the Oilers to win and I demand the Oilers win, and then signs for a number that doesn't allow them to do things, it doesn't make sense. So I actually think that whatever number, if he signs in Edmonton, whatever number he signs up for will be less than what he could get in the open market. They've got Draisaitl making 14, and he deserves it, and he's a big part of their team. So whether it's 16 or maybe a little bit less, I think if McDavid signs with the Oilers, he will sign for a number that still allows them to do business. The salary cap is supposed to be 104 next year, but there's already rumors it could go higher. So I think that number could be very big for the Oilers too, if that ends up being the case.
Quick preemptive defense of Connor McDavid. If anyone gets on him for getting 16 or 17, it's not his job to make sure the Edmonton Oilers have extra money to spend on extra players. They should take the money he leaves them and be thankful that he's on the team and then go spend it wisely. But we'll get to that point eventually, Elliot, someday.
Mike, you're right. Like he should make 50 million a year. The funniest line I got today was, or actually it was yesterday. I had someone call me and they say, if the Oilers were smart, they'd create a fake tree planting company
Exactly.
where they could do stuff
Exactly.
like this. Yes.
That's getting deeper by the head. But Connor McDavid is not the only thing going on right now, Elliot. Carey Price traded to San Jose. I think we sort of understand what's going on, but maybe you could explain to the fans why that took place.
Okay, so San Jose was the team all week that had been kind of rumored that this was going to happen with them, and ultimately that did occur. Actually, I have to say this: the fifth round pick. There were some people who earlier in the week thought the price was going to be much more than that. So that's a big win for Montreal. All it really cost them is a fifth round pick to get it done. I think the reason definitely the reason it happens is Carey Price had a big bonus paid on September the 1st. So in actual cash from here until the end of the year, the last year of his contract, it's $2 million. So it's not a lot of money, but it's a big cap hit. It allows the Sharks to stay above the floor if they start to move out some veterans later in the year. And the Canadians need to do it because as their team got better and some of their good players started getting new contracts and bigger contracts, they didn't have the cap room to bury Price's deal. So that's what they do. It allows them some flexibility. It allows them not to have to make tough decisions because they're not cap compliant. And basically, it's a paper move, and the Sharks get a cap floor, and they also get a mid-round draft pick out of it.
Yeah, obviously really benefiting both teams there with that deal that just come down a short while ago. We're talking a lot about $16 million with Connor McDavid, and that seems to be the number that's out there right now for Kirill Kaprizov, as it looks like this could be one of the biggest contracts ever. What exactly are you hearing about the progress between Kirill the Thrill and the Minnesota Wild?
So, Erica, Kirill Kaprizov gets back to Minnesota, I believe, this weekend after being at home in Russia in the summer. And, the Wild have been nonstop optimistic that this would get done. And the owner, Craig Leopold, was at their new arena naming open media conference this week. And he was extremely confident that this would get done. And they're going to meet with him face to face. And the numbers floating around, and no one has confirmed this to me, but no one has denied this to me either when I've asked around. But the numbers being thrown around, being rumored for him, are 8 times 16, and that would be the biggest deal in NHL history. Now, I look at it this way: the Wild have to get this guy signed. He's a franchise player. He's got leverage. I always say this, but one of the great books I ever read up on my bookshelf over here is called The Bald Truth, and it was by an agent by the name of David Falk, who was an NBA agent who represented Michael Jordan and Patrick Ewing, among others. And he would always talk about how agents negotiate. And some people would say, okay, well, Kirill Kaprizov, if he's 16, then is that really $2 million a year better than Draisaitl, or should McDavid then get 20? Your value is determined by your importance in your situation. And Kaprizov's value to Minnesota is essential and it's astronomical. And the Wild will do what it takes to get this done. So we'll see what the number ends up being when they meet face to face and if it gets done. But they're going to make him a huge offer. And maybe if those numbers are wrong, I don't think they're wrong by much.
So those are a couple big potential guys who could get extended, McDavid and Kaprizov. What about Jack Eichel? They're all sort of intertwined a little bit, and then probably falls McDavid, Kaprizov, Eichel. But are they waiting for each other? Where's Eichel? Because, again, Vegas seems pretty bullish, and they've said how important it is to get him redone relative to Marner, relative to what Kaprizov might do. Where's Eichel fit into this?
I think that Eichel will get done, Michael. If I had to bet, I'm on the pro Eichel Vegas side. First of all, it's been a great fit for him and them. Like it's something that's you remember where Eichel, you remember Eichel when he was being traded and just the battle with Buffalo over his medical situation and what he wanted to try, and all of this worked out for everyone. But I do think one of the things that's happened is, players, they want to see where the market is set, right? So I think Vegas my guess here is that Vegas is going to say, look, You are worth what you can get out there. You're a number one center. You're a great player. But like Edmonton and McDavid, we want to win. Marner just got 12. And, so I could see Eichel getting a big number, 13, maybe 14. But I don't think it's going to go into the stratosphere like a
Mhm.
Kaprizov or a McDavid.
Sure.
I don't see it because it just hurts Vegas's ability to win, but I do think he gets signed there, and I do think he extends there.
Yeah, it's been fun to see all of his success there, and looking forward to seeing him out there with Mitch Marner this year, whatever the future else holds. Let's switch gears to Luke Hughes now. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about the Hughes brothers as a whole. That's no secret. And even Quinn Hughes is kind of saying that he can handle all that outside noise. But for Luke in particular with the Devils, it seems to be taking longer than expected. What's the latest?
I think with Luke Hughes, this is one that I watch next week,
Mhm.
and we get to a situation where the players have to start coming to camp about 10 days from now. Like, I don't worry about this one with Luke Hughes all summer. Like, to me, this one, it's not a panic. I watch it over the next 7 to 10 days. Like, is he in camp on time? Like, we saw Connor Zari sign today with Calgary. It's probably a deal that the Flames might be a bit more happy with than the player. But the player says, you know what? I want to be in camp on time. I want to get it done. To me, the biggest question here, Erica, is term. And, there's been some reports. Does he want to line it up with his brother? Jack, who's got 3 more years left. Like, I just think with a guy like Luke Hughes, if I'm the Devils, I'm locking him up for as long as I can. A player like him, the price doesn't go down. But I think with the way, like, Lane Hudson hasn't signed yet.
Mhm.
And he's a guy whose numbers are only going to get higher too.
Yeah.
I think a lot of these really young, talented guys, I think they like Bridges now because they want to see
Mhm.
where the cap's going. And if they're going to sign for term, the teams are really going to have to make it worthwhile.
And what Luke Hughes has is the specter of his brothers that do help his
Yeah.
cause, because I think Jersey is cognizant of, like, someday they'd like to have all of them. So that is part of the conversation. One more for you, Elliot, before we let you go. One more RFA out on the West Coast. Mason McTavish, who is such a
Yeah.
talented player. I think we're all hopeful that Anaheim can be better this year. Joel Quenville, more excitement there. He's unsigned. Sometimes I hear maybe he's available or teams are calling about him.
Mm,
I have the same, like, why would you trade this guy, centerman, as young as he is, as good as he is? What's going on? What's the holdup there out in Anaheim?
So I don't think I think teams have called. Like, you're not doing your job if you're not
Right.
calling. But I don't think Anaheim wants to trade him. What we have to remember here is that Pat Verbeek has shown in the past that he's not afraid to wait a little bit longer than other GMs. Like, he's had some contract disputes that have gone into camp. So that's the one thing that I always remember here. That just because some teams might say, oh, I think a guy has to be here for the beginning of camp. Pat Verbeek has shown he doesn't necessarily believe that. So that's one thing to remember.
Hmm.
The big holdup, as I understand it, guys, is that the Ducks don't want to do bridge. If you look at the Ducks cap situation, they have a lot of really good young players who will be coming up for contracts over the next few years. Um, from including Carlson, McTavish, Jackson Lacombe, who's becoming one of the great young defensemen.
Hmm.
Like, they have a few guys who are coming up, and I think the Ducks would prefer to lock them up for term. Again, like we just talked about with Luke Hughes, with the way the cap's going, those are big numbers. I've really heard that a bridge would be the easiest way to get this done, but I don't think the Ducks want to do that. So we'll see who bends first. But I don't think he's getting traded. I would be surprised if he got traded.